This is Twit.
Well, AT&T is dangling the promise of wiring 100 municipalities in 21 metropolitan areas with fast fiber to homes, but only if regulators approve its proposed $48.5 billion acquisition of DirecTV. Confusingly, the company said that delivering its 1 gigabit per second service, which is branded as Gigapower, won't impact the company's capital investment plans for this year. John Brodkin is a senior IT reporter for Ars Technica and joins us to explain. Welcome, John.
Hey, how you doing?
So can you explain how the acquisition of a satellite company is necessary for laying fiber cables?
Best I can tell is that AT&T is saying that they're going to save about $1.6 billion a year with the transaction, and the biggest portion of that savings comes from reduced programming costs. As a bigger company, they'll have greater negotiating power to, get the cost of programming down. And they say they need that cost savings to build fiber to 2 million locations. But, they had already promised that they would consider building fiber in 100 municipalities in 21 or 22 metropolitan areas around the country. And that was before this acquisition. And at the same time, they never said how many homes they were going to build to. So when they say we're going to build to 2 million additional, we don't even know what is that in addition to, because AT&T has never said how many they would build if the acquisition doesn't get approved.
So just to rephrase this, they're actually saying that once they're a big, powerful company after the DirecTV merger, they'll be so big and so powerful that they'll be able to force content creators, Hollywood essentially, into such advantageous deals that the discounts that they'll get from those negotiations will fund fiber for all these people. Is that what they're saying?
They didn't put it that way, but if you add up the different things that were in their SEC filing, they mentioned $1.6 billion in savings. They said the biggest part of that is the programming costs, and then they said, they'll be able to build fiber because of these efficiencies. So when you add it all together, that's definitely what it seems like.
And what do you think personally? Is this just a ploy to get public support for the merger?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I kind of doubt they're really going to change what they're doing in terms of their fiber build-out, regardless of the DirecTV deal. Another thing is that, they're pitching this as something that will allow them to bring wireless broadband to a lot of homes, like 70 million, I think is the number they put out there. But that's another area where the merger has no real effect on it. They've already promised that they were going to bring what's known as fixed wireless service. It's like a home internet that runs on the same network as the cellular network. They've already promised to do that throughout their whole service area. And so they're basically promising again to do that if the merger gets approved, but they're just promising something they already planned on doing to make the merger seem more beneficial to customers.
Yeah, and Jason Heiner, this whole thing, of course, hinges on the acquisition of DirecTV. Do you have a sense of what the regulatory mood is right now with these kinds of mergers? I mean, this merger would make it the number 2 ISP, essentially. I mean, people talk about the television part of it. The internet part of it, I think, is far more interesting and far more important. Are they likely to get this thing approved, do you think?
It's tough to see maybe how they wouldn't. I don't know. This is not like AT&T and T-Mobile where they're in the same market and it starts to look, anti-competitive. So it's probably going to be a tougher deal to shoot this one down. I'm guessing that because of, the especially T-Mo deal going south, that this is one of those things that they're being, extra careful about. And that's why they're probably trying to play a card that they don't really have. I mean, let's face it, AT&T's got to build fiber. They're under massive pressure from Google Fiber and from Verizon. And, fiber is something that they have to do. So dangling it out there is extremely disingenuous. They've got to do it to be competitive, and they're going to do it, I think, no matter what. I think that but the regulatory situation is such that, the U.S. government who has to decide in this case. They want there to be competition in fiber, and so they're appealing to that fact of like, hey, if we do this, if we don't do, if you direct, if we are able to save this money, then we can definitely do fiber. And, we'll be even more capable of doing fiber and creating a more competitive internet situation. Those are things that regulators like to hear. And those are things where they can say, this is going to this is not going to subtract from the competition. This is, in fact, going to increase competition for sort of the next generation of internet access. And so, AT&T, it's a wise move for them to play that card. Like I said, I do think it's a little bit disingenuous because just from a competitive standpoint, they've got to do it. And I think that probably it's a wise card to play, and I think it's ultimately going to play well in Washington, and probably it will help get the DirecTV deal approved.
Yeah. John Brodkin, I personally am a little confused by the desire by AT&T to acquire DirecTV because, it's a satellite business primarily. And, what are they going to do with the satellite? Does satellite internet and satellite television really have a future?
Well, what they want to do is bundle it with their paid TV service. So it just, if you read the SEC filing, they mention bundles like, 10 times. It's like a bundle of wireless internet plus satellite TV. It's one more thing that they can use to get customers. So I think if they can offer good, cheaper bundles with satellite than they could previously, then that's just another way to increase customers. And also remember, the deal is semi-contingent on DirecTV continuing to have exclusive access to NFL Sunday Ticket. So they think that, having the NFL, the exclusive out-of-market games on the NFL will help them.
Well, John Brodkin, thanks for coming on Tech News today. It's an interesting development and, as far as I can tell, a shameless manipulation of public opinion. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, John Brodkin is at arstechnica.com and also on Twitter at jbrodkin.